We are live on a Thursday afternoon, 24 hours from the big game. And we have a one-game playoff between the Lumber Kings and One Hit. Everybody knows the rules to see who is going to get the 6th seed. The fans have been asking for Mr. Jack Abady right over here, committee member, very opinionated, not afraid to give us his opinions on the league. We're going to get that today. And of course, where have you been since the spring? Jackie, draftologist, JZ Zalta, welcome back to the set.
Thank you, Norman. My contract stipulated that I was not able to perform on air once the season had started. But there was a clause that once the regular season ends, I am able to do a show like this. So where the draft show went great, I had to just focus on my team and my playing, and now with the regular season over, contractually I'm allowed to talk again.
Okay, well, we're happy the attorneys were able to work that out in the fine print. Jack Abady,
Yes.
How did it feel this year? You're, a Gold Glove center fielder, first-round pick, to watch this season from the sidelines.
Very, very difficult. In the beginning of the season, I was really unable to play, so it was a little bit easier. But then once you had those back-to-back rainouts, and I'm 100%, and it was only week 3 coming up, it would have worked out. I felt like, maybe one of the first 2 weeks I could have DH'd, but, who knew that those rainouts were going to come, and it didn't plan. But, watching most of the season being healthy definitely made it a difficult thing to do. But also being on the committee, being involved, and with all the media surrounding the league, still feeling a part of the league, still following it, talking to a bunch of players, owners, captains, managers, so staying involved in the loop of what's going on, the pulse of the league. There's been a lot of change, a lot of positive change. So it's definitely a year that was intriguing, and you wanted to stay involved. You wanted to see how things were going to work out. So from that sense, I still felt a part of the league. Praying for someone to get hurt is never a good thing. But, that also, maybe I would sub, maybe I'd get a chance to play. But, just watching it from the distance that I was at, it was really, really a tremendous season. And still, so much in front of us, unknowns and knowns.
Right. First getting started, really,
exciting.
in a way. Now, Jack, you are good friends, brother-in-laws with Albert Kamal. What was your opinion of what went down on Sunday?
I felt like I made the mistake. Just hearing about it, you knew that, no matter what highlight video was going to come out, there was a cut of the error in each video. So there was no escaping it. It's an unexcusable mistake. But, going through the details of that game, and you hear like when Chris Webber makes a timeout call that cost them the national championship, all these giant blunders. Within time, the coaches and the players go back and say, one play didn't cost us the game. And that was definitely the case with One Hit, because how many mistakes can one team make? A game they probably should have won by 4 or 5 runs, any of the games. Just sitting there, hit a ground ball to second base and you're scoring runs. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like, that was the glorifying, because it's just, you can wheelchair to third base and win the game. But at the same time, from base coaches to running errors to errant throws, maybe it was the nerves of the pressure they put on themselves, but they definitely didn't help themselves out 1 through 12. But they're in a position to where, they won a game. They have a little bit of momentum going into this next game.
Right.
And if they could win this, we've seen how these type of games can catapult a team and bring them together. But, to me, it really, the interesting thing is how it shook up the bye, how it shook up all these other teams that didn't really affect them.
The bye is huge because it's 2 wins in the playoffs.
Yes,
it's 2 of the biggest wins you're going to get all year.
So, the Phillies, to me, have a crazy gripe because they'll never get that back. The one hit, they should have been in, but they're still controlling their destiny. If they win, they're even on a hot streak. Nothing that they do could get the Phillies the bye now.
It's
so
crazy.
The Phillies just don't have the bye, and they have
how
to live
about the
with that.
Maccabees got the bye because
Unbelievable.
of this play?
Zalta's going to Egypt tonight.
That's
all
right.
because this business trip. Whatever
really?
comes from this order is all because Albert Kamal didn't touch third base.
So we get a commission, Albert Kamal gets a commission.
First start with my own commission before we...
All right, Zalta, you saw both teams. You've seen Lumber Kings, Abady Saka's team, and you've seen One Hit, which is all these guys here.
Yes.
What do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
I tell you, I was very impressed with the way One Hit played this week. Max Yedid came out firing. He was last year Orioles World Series Max Yedid. He had his fastball going, he had his changeup going, he had his riser going. He was fearless. If that Max Yedid shows up tomorrow, they're a tough out. They're a tough out. And I'm going to tell you something else about Max Yedid's game. I don't think we got him out.
He hit.
That guy was crushing the ball. Here I'm behind the plate. I'm trying to call pitches, and after his third or fourth at bat, I don't know what the heck to call.
Right.
I'm going out to Mikey. What do you want to do here? Because this guy's hitting everything.
And there's no scouting report. He hasn't batted
Nothing.
the whole
Guys
season.
in 3 years.
Right.
I don't know if the guy ever taken it back.
Amazing.
So
That's
if
a great point.
If he plays like that, I mean, look, they're gonna miss Maurice Zakaria. He's probably the heart and soul of that team. He's the heart and soul of that team. Defensively, he stands in the middle of that diamond, and nothing gets through him, and he gets big hits. And he's the voice of reason for that team. They're gonna miss him, but with that said, if Max Yedid can pitch the way he did, I think they come with the W.
It's interesting, Max, because he came off of what I thought Daniel saved his draft by trading up for Max and getting him on that Thursday night, and then following him through the season, velocity was a little down. Something was missing, whether it was outfield defense or it wasn't what we saw last year, where he went toe to toe with AB and came out on top. But all that's in the past, and this Sunday he comes out and definitely wasn't the reason they went 1-2. If anything, he put them in the position where I felt they should have went 3-0, or 2-0, or 1-1, or whatever it would have been.
All 3 extra inning games, they couldn't go on 3-0.
But like you're saying, he's if he comes out and pitches like that, yes, on a normal week, but also you have the bear on the other side where Abady Saka is not going to get out-dueled by anybody. So Max needs to bring that energy because Abady Saka in a game like this is going to bring that. And then it's about, who's going to make these plays, who's not going to make the mistakes. That's really going to come down to it. I think when they played in the regular season, One Hit won a close game, and then Lumber Kings blew them out, like Mercy ruled them. It was like their first win of the season or something. And I think that's where One Hit has to be focused, is that they don't get mercied. I think that's their fear. If they're in the game and they can make it go and be a close game, that's the type of game they could win. I don't think their offense has been under scrutiny all year, and I don't know if they have enough bats to put up 8, 10, 11 runs in a game against Abady Saka in this type of magnitude. 3-2, 4-3, 1-0, 2-1. If they can get into that game, that's the game they want to play and hope that it breaks for them, because in the beginning of the year, Lumber Kings definitely didn't know how to win. They definitely learned how to win. They won a lot of games, but can they get that play that Lumber Kings made the first 4 weeks of the season that just inhibited them from winning, because they were in a lot of those games as well that they should have won. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. And it could be a base running error. It could be an extra throw. It could be an umpire call. Who could stay calm and overcome that. Those types of things are really going to be interesting to watch on Friday.
Speaking of unable to overcome an umpire call, let's go around the league. Let's start with the Phillies. The Phillies have had gripes and gripes all year long. They've had some issues. Week 1, they had to play without A.B. Cohen. They got the split against Zalta's Maccabees. They had that call from the umpire. They couldn't get over it. JT cursed the umpire out.
They split that week too.
They split that week, but it cost JT a suspension, and the next week he got swept.
Right.
So that could have cost them the bye, and not this. Who knows?
Well, I think that probably more cost them the bye. If you're relying on other teams and you're saying, well, it definitely was one play, but at the same time, how much time is he thinking of himself and putting, if I would have played, you got to be available for your team, especially as a captain and as a leader. And a lot of those beginning weeks, they were missing guys. They didn't have a full team till late in the season.
Yeah.
And we
They're
always
on a very hot streak.
They're very hot.
What do you think of them going forward right now?
Well, I think that, everyone was down on A.B. Cohen from last year, where his team was just abysmal. Maybe his fault, some of it not showing up, being there, not being there. Could he pitch 2 games? A lot of question marks on A.B. But, 2 years ago, he was a top 5 pick, and he's really set the tone. And they were able to get a lot of bats and plug guys in a defensive lineup where they're probably most comfortable. I know Jordy is a shortstop, but when you have the luxury of putting him at a short center, how much stronger your team is. And having Ali as the rock of that team, and, you know, it'll be crazy for me to ever understand how Ali doesn't go in the first round. I don't care. Till he doesn't hit 500 or 450 and slug 1,000, how this guy got overlooked this year is craziness. And it really set up, everything fell in the Phillies' lap to where they got everything they needed. And they're a team that's really, really interesting. So I don't think A.B. Cohen is scared of Naby. I know they've had battles in the Brooklyn League from when Naby was younger, and A.B. Cohen almost feels like, you know, he's this little brother.
Wow.
And I think that's something that's an edge that they can go and really exploit in the playoffs if they meet in the finals.
JZ, White Walkers, Morris Cassin's team. You have Rishley at second, John at short, Hank at third.
Yeah.
Although he's missing this week, right?
Yes, Hank's away this week.
So I guess Mo Cass will move over to third, where he used to play. What's your view on this team? They're playing Butter on Sunday.
Yeah. I like that Mo Cass team a lot. That White Walker team, they're very strong.
Tuna versus Leo matchup.
Yeah.
Those two guys have always kind of been linked together.
Always.
And interesting to see who's going to come on top, because, you know, the guy who comes out on top is going to have, you know, positive talk, and the guy who loses that matchup is going to be, you know, could someone else come into the league next year and pitch and we could get rid of one of these guys.
It's also a battle between Tuna and Kuda who's going to show up, because Tuna has reared his ugly head a few times this year, but Butter has managed to bring back Kuda lately as well. So we're all watching.
The pressure of this week is nothing like we've seen in the regular season. And I know he's been under some pressure because the team was 2-4 at one time and they needed wins. But now you're in playoff atmosphere. To be able to have that focus and keep that energy in the positive things and not in umpires or in different antics, I think it's almost so two different teams. Butter, young, energetic, up and coming, and, you know, White Walkers, stars of 1995, and older players and different. And for me, you look at the White Walkers name and you say teams and the people on their team, and I thought they should have been better. I know you thought also they were going to be a really, really strong team, and now going into the last week they almost had a bye, so maybe they were one of the better teams. But I was kind of disappointed that they didn't have almost that little piece that I see from the Maccabees. I thought they would be like, take care of business, be on top of it, and just come in and exploit a lot of mistakes that everyone's making. And one of the things is that I've seen, even from the Maccabees, that no team has really been above the mistakes this year. You haven't seen that team that's just, you know, whether the other team's going to have to beat them. It looks like every team this year is capable of beating themselves, which makes for a very interesting when each game right here now is controlling the destiny of the season.
The only team we've seen that's really gone wire to wire is Naby and SmackDown.
Yeah.
And people have always said Naby gives you a buy into the World Series.
Can't argue with it.
Are we buying that right now? Are we saying that, you know, Naby's team has been... They went 2-0 week one. Everyone else split. They've been in first place the whole year.
They've won a lot of close games, and maybe more than Naby's teams in the year past.
Yeah.
But playoff Naby will shut you out. And I think that they are, you know, clearly the favorite. I think there's certain teams that can beat them, and I think there's certain matchups that may be difficult for them. But in this bracket format is what's a little bit different than years past, where they could be able to win the number one seed and pick who they want to play and stay away from a team that's a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Now it's you're playing who you're playing, whoever wins. So that kind of thing is, you're not going to get the matchup you want. You're going to get the matchup that the outcome comes out, and that could be a little bit of tricky for them if they get a matchup against the Phillies or get a matchup against the Butter, who's just a little bit of a different type of lineup who can score a lot of runs. But on paper and what we've seen, you got to think SmackDown is the clear favorite.
Now, if it's, let's say it goes all chalk and we have a World Series of Maccabees versus SmackDown, I think advantage SmackDown because Naby didn't face you yet. You guys have not had a chance to see him this year.
That's true. I mean, we haven't. I mean, what's true is that we haven't faced him. We had not faced Naby yet this year, but I mean, if you look at Maccabees, and I'm not just saying it because it's my own team, look at the guys on this team. these are guys that have been around, that have played. My last 2 years, two years against in the playoffs and World Series, we battled with Nabi. So we've seen him a lot. We know what he brings. We all saw the way Daniel's Orioles beat them last year. So I hear what you're saying about us not seeing him this year, but I'm not so sure that that'll have an effect. I mean, we're a veteran team, but also young and athletic, and I think that if we were to see Nabi in the World Series, I think we'll be right there with them and have a good chance.
I think there's a deep rivalry there, like Jack said, and it goes back years with Sonny and Max, and having Nabi and having this group of guys on the Maccabees. To me, the X factor is Mo Shamah, because as we talked about Ali slipping and not understanding why, Mo Shamah's also slipped, but it's more understandable. You look at his stats. And now Mo does a lot of things on the base paths and defensively that aren't on the scorebook. And it's probably the reason why he's still getting picked in the first 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. But he's clearly not the player he was offensively 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And I think in order to beat an AB, it's not going to be able to be offensively, Lee Zakarian and AB Cohen. I think they need that third cog to go along with all the Sunnies and DRs and all these guys that come through. They need Mo Shamah to go and hit 500 for the next 3 weeks, and that really will take them to a level that we haven't seen so far this year.
You mentioned DR. He always gets forgotten. He is
big hit after big hit.
And to have 2 guys there, you have DR and Sonny. Who you're walking, you walk DR to face Sonny, Sonny beats you.
Yeah.
So they have those 2 type of guys that you don't want to face with the game on the line. And I think that's something that's going to be interesting. If they could be up, their thing is to stay out of the close game. Because I think in the close game, you have, Max has a lot of young guys. A lot of young guys with not the playoff experience. And the Maccabees have every veteran with tons of playoff experiences that have been in these at-bats. So if it's really important that they score early in certain games and young players get out and get some big hits and they could play from above, from ahead, that would be huge for SmackDown. But if you're in a close game and you see all these lineups, 6, 7, 8 on their team are guys who have been there, done it, won rings, have had big hits, you can't relax. And that's going to be interesting to see, how these 2 different teams handle it.
Okay, so we have the playing game tomorrow. Winner will play the Phillies. The other matchup, we have a White Walkers versus Butter. You have the veteran bats of the White Walkers in Rishdi and John and Joe Greenberg.
2 games, best out of 3.
Best out of
Henry
3.
could he missed the whole series.
He could. I don't know when he's coming back.
Game 3 be Sunday?
No, Game 3 is not on Sunday.
Okay.
We're
So
not
they
going to make you
split.
play 3 games just for splitting. We can't, 3
Right.
games is only
Fair.
sort of punishment for having a play-in game or whatever. But
Right.
if you split the first 2 games, we'll figure out when to play the 3rd game.
Right.
Okay, and then on the other side you have Farca and Z and Irwin and Nussi Yakubovich and Mo Haber going against Leo Katzen. I don't even know how to predict this series, but Zalta, do you want to take the first stab at it?
I'm gonna take the White Walkers.
Okay,
Wow.
you're going with the White Walkers.
Interesting, because David Farca is the MVP of this season. And we were talking before, his team throughout the season was never in a comfortable position that they were in the playoffs. But they made the playoffs pretty comfortably. They didn't have to play a playoff game.
But you know what? They needed him every week. They were on the brink every single
sure.
week.
And he did it. And the question is now, this magical season that he had individually, if you don't beat Leo Katzen in the first round, to me it loses something. Now the numbers will have the trophy, and the numbers will be something that we'll all look at and say,
mind you, we have not revealed any votes yet.
Yeah, but closest guy to hit 700 in the longest time. I think maybe one time his somewhat father-in-law, Elliot Bra, once might have hit 700 when I was coming up in the league. That was like crazy. And he just did it. So to me, to solidify his season, he needs to at least win 1 round. And going up against a pitcher who's not considered one of the top 4 or 5 pitchers in the league, it's not a one-man game, but I would love to see David be the difference maker and really put the team on his back in a playoff series.
Isn't it crazy you have a team with Zach and Zach gets overlooked? That's how good
That's how
Farca
great
is.
Farca season is. And you know what? It also opens the door for Zach to also come through. And Irwin, you have a guy like Farca who's so hot. you're getting the pitchers you want to hit because they can't afford to have men on, and it makes the game so much easier for them. I'm thinking the difference. I think first of all, the loss of Henry is huge. Defensively, you can say you can move Mo Caster. They're
You're
not
going
the same
Butter, it sounds
defensive
like.
team, and I think I'm going to go Butter. I think that Mo Haber's a factor. I watched the Baltimore Chop. He sent it out a few weeks ago. Again, I rewatched it.
It could happen again, by the way, that matchup.
That Mo Haber effect on a team and on Kuda has helped them. He's a veteran presence when he's not being captain. That's really positive on a young team. You look around their players, no one cares more about it, and I think at this stage everyone cares, but flying home from a bachelor party, being into it, youthful, energetic. They're not youthful stupid. They're youthful and into it. That I think and have the talent. I think Butter's White Walkers are in trouble, and I think it might be Sunday is I don't know if Henry takes the field again.
Wow. Okay, well there you have it. Off of a sweep. There you have it, guys. Thank you to both of you. I'm going to give my predictions after the play-in game because I already predicted the play-in game.
Do we want to talk about one hit and lumber? Do we give our predictions there?
Go for it. You need to give predictions.
I said...
you went with one hit, it seemed
one hit.
like.
You went with one hit.
I went with lumber.
I'm also thinking that I think I'm going to go with one hit. My one question is, could they finally cut the BS and stop getting in their own way? I think they're the better team. I think Max is the pitcher that's finally in playoff form that you want to have. And it's either they're going to beat themselves or they're going to win the game.
One hit won that game because of Max Yedid, but also because of Zeke, because of Dano, and Mike C.
But you know what? How many times are they going to try to lose the game by running into outs?
True.
Mark Brown catches the ball, a line drive, and throws the ball to the parking lot for no reason.
He did do that. Okay. This game, the key matchup, A.B. Saka versus Mark Braha. Mark's got to come through in this game.
Yeah, and I'd say
so if he's watching this anywhere, he's got to come through.
I think offensively, if having DK back and DK surviving his vacation or wherever he went,
I feel like DK's not part of his team if he didn't experience what went on Sunday. These guys were exhausted.
DK is a huge gamer, changes the game. His positive energy, hopefully, and also I'm looking for Eddie Michon. He got the game-winning hit, and he separated himself on the field play, but off the field play to take more of a responsibility on getting these guys organized. I know Mark and a bunch of these guys on this team have played with my father in the years past.
Do they need Uncle Chuck to fly?
That's what I'm trying to think. I think they need that role of, you know what, if you don't know what you're doing, let's calm down. Let's make sure we all know what we're doing. And it's one thing to say, I heard Maxidine said, he announced it into the ether that every runner had to touch the bag. But if you're announcing something like that, you only got to say, Albert Gamal, look me in the eyes. You understand you have to touch the bag. Like, why just say it and not say it to somebody? There's communication there that I think that Eddie Michel's the perfect veteran, knows every rule, knows the number of
Chucky and Abady would have been saying, touch the bag! Touch the bag!
I think there's a lot of things that he probably would have said because some of the mental errors were crazy. But I think talent-wise, they have it. Camaraderie, they have it. Can they get on that? Take a step, take a second, back up, and let's understand what are we doing here.
Are you picking that or not?
I'm taking one hit.
All that, and he's still going.
I'm still going with it. I'm still going with
one hit.
I'm still going with one hit. I think this is the week they put it together, and I know what? I like one hit to go on a run a little bit because I think that this momentum of winning these type of games, we've seen it with Sack Attack, we've seen it with some of these Untouchables. You get hot late, you really rip it.
You win these crazy games and you go on a run. Young Guns went on a run back in the 90s also. They lost in the World Series. If one hit wins, you have JT versus Dano in the first round of the playoffs.
That's fun.
There's just too much going on. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will see everybody at the field tomorrow. Zalta, enjoy Egypt. I'm sure you'll be watching. And
the pyramids.
All right, we'll keep it going. Guys, thank you.